Hello, legends and super legends. Welcome to Veloharmony Live subscriber hangout. All right, let's see who we've got here. Robert Tangler, my super legend. Jeffrey, another super legend. Farmer, all the super legends are here. Wesley Steven. Man, guys are ganging up on me. Welcome, guys. Midweek, hump day, whatever you call it. We had very fair weather today here in the Houston area. It was about probably, when I was out there anyway, it was 16, 17 C, about 60 degrees, thereabouts, around the noon hour. So I snuck out around lunch, got a few hours in. Paul, hey, Paul was able to make it. Yeah, I changed the time because I had a lot of stuff going on today. I've got a bunch of fits, and then I've got another guy coming from Florida. My show, he's a subscriber. I got a guy driving from Florida for a fit on his way to Dallas. So those of you who are familiar with the area, the I-10 is the main drag, and you hit Houston, and then you go north, and he's got friends in Dallas, so he's going to come here tomorrow. About noon or so, we'll do the fit, and then he'll go up to Dallas and spend the weekend up there and ride with those guys. So that's kind of cool. Andre, by the way, what I wanted to do was I already put a note on here. Andre, I did some research on you. Andre Euphilian, he's our newest super legend. Let's see here. Veloharmony News. I looked up, Andre signed up as a super legend last week, so I want to thank him. He lives in a town called Cluj-Napoca. And Cluj-Napoca is the unofficial capital of Transylvania. He's in Romania. So I was like, man, that is so cool. I love the Transylvanian name and all that. You know, I used to watch a lot of the vampire movies and some of the books that were written. So that's kind of cool. It's a very, very beautiful area in there. So Andre, welcome. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. We appreciate it very much. Cluj-Napoca, Romania, the unofficial capital city of Transylvania. Welcome. So let's see. Azir Khalid. Anthony Tomasello. All the super legends are here today, man. I should call this Super Legends Hangout. This is cool. Yeah, it was kind of cool when I started, you know, go out, and then it warmed up a little bit, but not too much. It was still cool. You know, the air is still cool. We're still that time of the year. So it was kind of a, I would say, well, not real mild, cool day down here, sunny. You know, it rained yesterday, and so the rain moved on. And so today we got cool weather in, it blew something in. So hopefully, Robert, yeah, I always appreciate that, Robert. Thank you so much. Robert Tangler. Christopher is here. Yeah. So I wanted to make sure I got Andre on there. Let's see. And then Chris Rippey became a Lioness. He joined the Lioness tier. I don't know if Chris is here. He probably didn't make it here today. But I changed the time to a little later because it was a crazy day. I had a lot of stuff going on. And I did a video that Christopher Roxbury had requested on stretching for cyclists. I will release it on Friday. I just went ahead and did what they call the timeline. And I've got the raw stuff. I haven't done the edits or anything. But it just will let you know the kind of stretching I do, they're very relaxing. They're like Pilates without the discomfort. And it really eases the muscles like a self-massage in a way. So I'm going to find some good music for background, and you should be able to enjoy that. Brandon Castillion. He's doing an active recovery ride. Well, good for you. Good for you. So it's like, yeah. So I changed my training week this week because of the way last week went. After Saturday, Sunday, I took the day off, hung out with the kids, took them out on their bikes. And then Monday, I rode. Then Tuesday, I was busy, so I didn't ride. Had a lot going on. And then I rode today, and I'm going to ride tomorrow and probably just spin on Friday. You have to be able to find out what pattern works for you and just know that if you've got big rides coming up, don't hammer too close to it the day before so you're not tired. Know how long you need to recover. That's the key if you do ride consecutive days and then you can keep the quality up, you know. So let's see here. Rodolfo Ramirez, welcome. Hey, Sarah, how you doing? I remember at the premiere, Sarah had asked a question about, yeah, during the premiere, we're watching the film, so I saw it, but I was too busy trying to watch what had happened, because when I do the clips, I don't get to see the whole thing, so we couldn't answer. I don't remember what her question was. It had something to do with gravel. Yeah, I think she asked whether you use regular tires on a gravel bike or whatever. I wouldn't. If you buy a gravel bike, you might. I mean, I'm sure they have tires you can use on and off road. Then you get those, because the tires specifically for the road will not last if you do a lot of gravel riding in them. You'll wear them faster, and you might increase your chances of flats. So if you're going to do gravel riding, it's better to get either a tire that's like a hybrid for gravel and road, or just tires for gravel riding. Because the tires for gravel riding will be fine on the road, but the tires for road riding will not be too fine on gravel, you know, depending on the level of gravels that you're dealing with. So just get something specific, Sarah, for what you're going to be doing. I hate having flats and stuff on the road, because I got to find that time. When I want to ride, I just want to ride. So I check my tires. I just replaced my Schwalbe tires, because I inspected them and they were peeling. They had worn to the point where you could now see the tread wear, and the rubber was basically lifting in certain places. So I just put new tires on there. That's what you need to do. Inspect your tires, because your flats don't always start on the road. They can start at home, and if you got worn tires, you're more susceptible. So that way you increase your training time. Fake Star 45, how you doing? He says morning. So which part of the world he's in? He must be out of the land down under or something, because down here is like 17 something. So he said, I was wondering if any of you guys were on gravel bikes with road tires. Okay, yeah, that was the question. Yeah. I don't have a gravel bike currently, but yeah, but I think you should get either a tire for both or one specifically for gravel. The road tires are for road, and so if you expose them to too much gravel riding, then especially if there's a lot of gravel, I'm not talking about hard packed dirt, they'll probably be okay there. But then you want bigger tires if you're off the pavement. So let's say 28s. And in fact, if I have a gravel bike, I'll probably put 32s on there, because then you use less pressure and they work better, you know. From Montreal, Carlos, welcome. Rodolfo says, I'm thinking of getting a heart monitor. Is that something it could be useful to improve myself? Yeah, I use a heart rate monitor. In fact, I need to change the battery in mine. It conked out today. I have two of them, in fact, just to make sure if one quits, I have another one. That's what I trained to. I trained to heart rate. That's what I used to compete with. So I just gotten used to it. It has its uses. It's very useful. Even the professional riders today still wear it. You know, that lets you know what your body's doing. I think that's very important. And if you're going to get them, get the, if you have a Garmin, I don't know what head unit you have, get a heart rate strap that will work with your head unit. Because a lot of the head units take, you know, you can pair them. So depending on what model head unit you currently have, then you want to get the strap that will work with that, so you can pair them successfully. And that's all you need. But then you need to do a threshold test and get your zones. You know, you don't just get a heart rate belt and start looking at heart rate. It doesn't mean anything unless you've figured out your zones. And then, you know, today I want to train in that zone and so forth. And then it transfers over to structured training. So all these tools need to be used properly for them to benefit you. So yes, that's what I use currently. I used Power before, you know, then it's, the one I had was just a problematic unit, the G3. The wheel was always wobbling because the hub is just not made very well. The power unit itself kept quitting every week. So I just got rid of it. It was a headache. But yeah, so power meters, heart rate monitors, they're all good, but you need to know how to use them. In part of a training program, they're great tools to have. Let's see here. Oh, so Sarah says she lives in a city under permanent construction sites. So you're probably dealing with nails and all kinds of stuff. So just get larger tires. And if the roads, if you have a lot of gravel roads, then yeah, larger tire, and get gravel tires, are tougher. And then since you're in a construction area, just keep your eyes out for the nails and stuff that eventually will end up on the road. A lot of times for bike tires, it's not that bad. But if you do hit one, it can pretty much wreck your tire because they're so big. It can happen. The nails and the screws those guys leave around. Oh, Fake Stars in Singapore. Okay. On the other side of the world. Psycho Warrior. Welcome, my brother. So Steve Peterson, I'm doing a 12-week base workout. My current FTP is 240. How much higher do you think I can go at a completion? Hard to say. Nobody can tell you that. Everybody's unique. There is no way anybody can tell you. It's really going to come down to how much work you put in and your recovery. So you need, it's going to take some time. Nobody can tell you that. So you're just going to have to find out how long it takes you to get your numbers up. And that's the thing I tell people, get to know yourself. So you should be able to answer that question by tracking your data and tracking your improvement. So you'll need to do an FTP test. I'm glad you put that comment out there, because I was thinking about your last comment the last time where you said the plan was hard. It is not supposed to be very hard. So, I think I bounced it off of Paul on a ride. It was on my mind. Make sure that your zones are right, that your zones are not too high. It's not supposed to be very hard, because really all I'm having you hit is like, I think, tempo and maybe threshold. So it shouldn't be very hard for the most part. And also make sure that you're sticking with the cadence recommendations, that your gearing is allowing your cadence to fall in the range that's recommended, your cruising cadence for you. So just get those two together. I know it's not very easy, but it shouldn't feel like it's very hard. The tempo sessions and the threshold sessions should just be somewhat hard, if that gives you a clue. Let's see here. Fake Star 45. Talking about tires, I'm using Schwalbe Pro 1. That's what I just took off my bike. I wore them out. How often should I change my tire? We made a video about them. I don't know if it was a video, we talked about it. You need to inspect your tires regularly. Regularly means weekly, maybe. I check my tires often because sometimes you're out there, you don't have a flat, you can pick up stuff, piece of a needle or a piece of flint. It starts to work its way into your tire. You want to go. What I usually do after a ride is I wipe my chain and then I spray some Simple Green on I have these blue shop towels and I have white shop towels. I use the white shop towels now. Paul got me a bag from Costco and it's been here forever. I use those for my frame because they're like washcloth quality. And I like that on the frame. I just spray some. I always wipe down my tubes. I don't wash the bike after every ride. I just spray some Simple Green on it, wipe down my tubes. Then I use the blue shop towels, the same, similar to what mechanics use. I spray some on there and I go over my wheels. I clean the rim and then I clean the tire. Then I spin the tire and look at it to see if anything's embedded in there. And I use tweezers to pull them out because stuff gets in there. As the tire ages, you guys know you will start getting on the rear, especially a flat spot where it's just the middle is flat because that's where the weight is. You really need to check that. That's what I was checking on the Schwalbe Pro 1, and the rubber in certain spots basically was just sitting there and it was loose. And as soon as I picked it up, you could see it was almost like cotton in there. So I just took the tire off and put new tires on there because they were just worn. I've had them on that blue bike for at least a year. So I got my money's worth. But that saved me the headache of having a flat out there, because when it's that worn, anything that hits it There's no protection anymore because whatever little guard they had under that rubber is already worn off. The cotton is not going to do anything. So that's the key. So as far as how often you replace your tires, it's going to vary because it depends on how you use your tires. If you're out there skidding around, locking up brakes or whatever, you wear that rubber. And, you know, sometimes on one ride, you can wear, you know, I've actually had that happen. You can wear a spot into your tire and then it's gone. So just make sure that you shop for tires before you need them and keep spares at home so you don't have to run to the bike shop and pay retail. But check your tires every ride. Just look at it. Just spin it around. Check for stuff that's in there. It saves me. I don't have flats very often because of that. I find things that are working their way and I pull them out with the tweezers. There's always stuff trying to get in there, especially when the tire is older. The new tire with tread, the tread stuff bounces off. They fall off. They don't work their way in. As you start getting that flat spot, then they do. So I hope that helps you. Farmer says, Farmer 2702, he says, I use a heart rate monitor because I am limited to how high I can let my BP rest. Your blood pressure rest or rise? I'm not sure what he means. Rodolfo, you're welcome. I'm not sure what question I answered. Let me see. What did he ask? Oh, the heart monitor. Yeah. Yeah, get one, man. I can give you a link on, go to veloharmony.com, recommended cycling products under the web store. The best price is there. Just scroll or search for Garmin if you have a Garmin and just find the belt. The belts are cheap. Don't buy the fancy belts. Buy the simple ones. Because the fancy ones, they don't seem to last, especially for Garmin. I don't buy the fancy one. It costs more and it doesn't last. So I buy the inexpensive one. I think I paid $20-some. They're very inexpensive now. They've been around forever. But every rider worth their salt has a heart rate belt. If you look at the pros, you will see a black belt under their jerseys. Even though they're using power meter, they look at that. Because that tells you about what your body's doing. No power meter can do that. You need to know. And then they compare. You know, okay, last season I was doing 300 watts at this beat per minute when I was in shape. Am I improving, or is my heart rate higher at the same wattage? That's the kind of stuff they analyze. They don't look at it during the ride. They collect the data. That's what's going on there. That's why I tell people, you know, the heart rate stuff, I narrate. When I narrate, then I notice, oh, wow, okay, this was the pace. But when I'm riding, I just ride, I listen to my legs, because that's what matters. If your legs feel like they're rubber and you can't pedal anymore, it doesn't matter what those meters are doing. Your pistons are down. So I listen to my legs to know when to back off, downshift, and that's the way you want to ride. Your legs do the work. They do everything. Don't let the power meter tell you, oh, you're doing 300 watts, you keep going. No, you got to listen to your legs to see if you can keep going at that wattage. That's where it starts. All right, let's see here. I also used a heart rate monitor due to surgery almost a year ago. Let's see. Is it normal that I can average 180 RPM for 2 hours, but don't feel like I'm out of breath? 180 RPM average? I think you mean 80. It's not possible for you to average 180 RPM for 2 hours. I mean, 180 RPM. I think that's a typo, Philippe. I think you meant 80. If you're averaging 80 and you don't feel out of breath, yeah, that's not unusual. But, you know, averaging 80 means 80 or a little above. But what are you doing? I mean, you know, as far as how high are you going? Are you going to 120, 130 and still not out of breath? So it depends on what you're doing. So average 80 is easy. You're just staying 80 plus, you know, 85, whatever. And so I wouldn't get too much on that. I think what you want to focus on is what goals you're trying to accomplish. I think you meant 80. Riding with Sarah. Is it normal to struggle keeping my regular cadence on my rollers? Maybe you're not comfortable with the rollers, Sarah, because the rollers should be just like outside once you get going. You should be able to just ride your normal cadence. So make sure your gearing is right on the rollers. Don't use a heavy gear. Make sure you have a gear that you're on top of, and you should be able to get to your normal cadence. You shouldn't be struggling on the rollers. In fact, people use the rollers to warm up, to get ready for events. So yeah, the rollers is a training tool. It shouldn't cause you to struggle. So no, that's not normal. Yeah, I'm not sure what he means. I think somebody is saying you mean beats per minute. I don't think he's averaging 180 beats per minute for 2 hours. That's still very high if he meant heart rate. But he said RPM, so I have a feeling it's a typo one way or the other. He needs to clear that up because that's not, the number's not right. So he said 180 beats per minute. Well, everybody's different. I don't know how you average 180 beats per minute unless, let's say, you're in your 20s. I don't know what your threshold heart rate is or whatever. So yeah, everybody's unique. So maybe something's going on. Maybe you just have a higher heart rate normally. I coach a guy who his heart rate is like 190. His functional threshold heart rate is high. It's like 190 or something. For his age, it's high because he's in his 40s. And he said that he was just born that way. So yeah, it could be that's just the way your metabolism is, you know. But whether you average 180 as far as what's going to get you out of breath is the thing that it depends on how you're using your legs and your cadence. So if you're pushing, because your heart rate does not make the bike go. That's just what your heart does to deal with the effort you're putting out. So if your heart is averaging 180 beats per minute to handle whatever workload you're throwing at it, and you're not out of breath, then try increasing your cadence, because you may need to do that if you start riding with riders who are fast and they change the speed. Then you will need to teach your body to handle higher cadences, and then your heart rate may go up until you get used to that. It's because your body's trying to deal with that. So don't focus on the heart rate you're averaging. Focus more on how you're riding, what cadences you're handling in the gears. Because if you limit your cadence too much, you run out of gears. You heard people say, "Oh, I need an 11." That's because they're not spinning high enough in the 15, 14, 13. They're keeping their cadence fairly low. And so they get into 12 with a tailwind and they're like, "I ran out of gears." No, you didn't. You just didn't. You haven't taught your body to rev it up. So yeah, if you're riding steadily and you're averaging 180 beats per minute, yeah, you're probably not getting out of breath because it's a steady ride. But when you get into a ride where the pace is going to change, that's where your breathing will be taxed. So it depends on what kind of riding you're preparing yourself for. So it's normal. It could be normal that, you know, it has to do with how your body is and what your heart rate zones are. So the people I coach, the first thing we do is a threshold test to find out what's going on with their internals. And then we give them their zones. So if you have your zones, whatever 180 beats per minute, I don't know what zone that is for you. If that's a zone you're supposed to be in, then you're fine. But you need to find out what 180 beats per minute means in terms of your zones, your training zones. That's why I tell people, don't just look at the beats per minute. It needs to mean something. Are you in zone 4, zone 5, zone 3? You got to find that out. Peles Comey said, "Hi, should I roll the grippers on my bib shorts when I'm putting them on?" I don't. I just put them on. I don't think it's necessary. David says, "What's the difference between a higher end bib shorts and lower end bibs?" Really? How much time you got? We can't cover that here. It's like everything in life, man. The difference between a Corolla and a Lexus. The difference between a Camry and a Ferrari. They're different. They're not created equal. It's just you get what you pay for. You can start, you know, it has a lot to do with, that's the reason the higher end bibs they charge. They have stuff in there. Once you get a higher end bib, man, you feel the difference, you see the difference, the quality, like everything in life. You know, there are some stuff out there that people charge for that's not very good, but when it comes to most things, when you start hitting the higher quality stuff, you know, for example, the Lycra, the quality is almost like fabric quality. The pads, the fit, all of that. So big difference. You know, the comfort and everything. I have bibs that I save just to use on the trainer, and I have bibs that I use when I do my longer rides. So there are bibs that are designed for very long rides, you know, 3+ hours, and they use different materials, different chamois. So yeah, big disparity. So yeah, you have to just sample it. You will feel the difference immediately. Not even close. Chris Roxbury says, what calisthenic exercises do you find the most beneficial to a cyclist? It's similar to what I was releasing that video. The stretching. I do a lot of stretching where I'm stretching my lower back, and I'm also stretching my hamstring. And the kind of stretches I do, they're not very what I call painful. It's kind of like you sit and it's gradual because it's relaxing the muscle and stretching the muscle. I do the kind of stretching that helps you recover. The biggest thing when it comes to calisthenics is to just stretch the quadriceps, hamstrings, lower back. Those are the 3 areas we use a lot, especially the lower back. We ignore that. On the bike, I do a lot of on-bike core work, meaning when I'm riding, my stomach is working as well. You have to focus on that because that strengthens your core and keeps the transfer of power direct. So you have to make sure you work that lower back, because if the lower back it's not stretched, you can get a lot of ache. Especially you probably found you ride hard or you do a lot of climbing, you can get a little aching in your lower back. You have muscles in your back that you use when you cycle. So you want to stretch those 3 main groups. Those are the kind of exercises that are real beneficial for a cyclist. Let's see here. I was trying to figure out JR, hi. JR, how are you? Getting Ready 101. He says, I graduated from Walmart Schwinn to a Trek FX this week. That thing is quick. It will jump when I say go. It says gone. Let's see here. Oh, Chuck, welcome. It says he's a new subscriber, Chuck McNally. Yeah. Oh, somebody answered. Okay, Jeffrey answered. Yeah, we do it on Wednesdays. The time will vary because sometimes I've got different things going on. I've got a bunch of fit that I've scheduled, but I block out the time. But what I'm trying is to at least do it a little later sometimes to accommodate some people, you know. So sometimes it's around early afternoon, but most of the time I will try to do it around this time. I'm trying not to do it too late in the evening. I want it to be done before the evening comes in so I can hang out with my girls and everybody else can do other things. So we try to squeeze it in on Wednesday because it's hump day. We kind of answer questions and get people ready for the weekend and relieved from the prior weekend. So that's a good day to do it. So yeah, Wednesday it is. So JR says, do you ever get neck pain when you cycle? No, I don't. I get no pains when I ride my bike, JR, because my bike fits me. Because I'm a bike fitter. So I fitted myself. When I used to compete in the late 80s, when I started competing, my coach didn't know anything about fit. I paid for the fit kit at some bike shop. It was useless. So that's how I got into fit. And so, yes, if you're having any kind of pains, get a fit. That's the best thing you can invest in other than your frame, because your frame needs to fit you. They don't know you when they make those frames. You have to get your saddle and your shoes and everything fitted in the bars, the right stem length, the right position. In fact, Paul sent a link to some video called Bike Fit Tip. This hand position might change your life, relax your upper body. There's a lot of fitter out there want to try things and they have nothing proven to back it up. And so they're setting these levers real high. You know, why do you need the levers high? The lever needs to be where the person's hand says it should be. You know, if you look at Le Mans and Mercs and all of them, you don't see them sitting up like they're riding beach cruisers. There's a reason for that. Those guys rode their bikes more than you ever will. So there's a reason why the people that ride bikes all the time, all day long, have their fit a certain way. It just works. There are no fad when it comes to fit. The bicycle needs to fit the human body because the human body is not symmetrical. So if you don't pay for a fit, you will start having pains. The more you ride, the more pain you will have. Because you can ride around the neighborhood with a bad fit, doesn't mean anything. As you start to put in more hours, then you will start having numb hands and different things. They're just symptoms. That doesn't mean that the problem is your neck. The problem is your saddle. Your neck is a symptom of the fact that your saddle's off and your weight's not distributed. Then it's going to transfer into how you handle your bike. You'll be riding down the road, can't hold a straight line because you got too much weight on the bars. Many things. So you will hear most people say you need to revisit your fit because there are a lot of things. So you need to pay for a fit and get somebody to help you get it fitted. Many riders spend decades with a bad fit. Riders in the know are not riding in any discomfort. I ride about at least 15 hours a week. There's no way I would be doing that if I were uncomfortable. So no, you need to go get a fit. Looking for road shoes. Shady Optics said, looking for road shoes in wide. Any recommendation? Lake makes wide shoes. I also like the Giro shoes because I like the toe box to be wide. Lake, Giro, Shimano. You can't go wrong. Specialized is known for having very narrow shoes. I've bought them many years ago. And yeah, they were too tight. So yeah, those are the three brands I would recommend as far as looking for wide shoes. So McGundu 12, he said, I only get lower back pain when climbing. He said, why is this? I'm not laughing at you. That's what I was talking about earlier. Bike fit, you should just weak muscle, lower back core. No, your fit can be perfect. I don't know your fit, but I assume if you're here, it's something you need to address. Don't be guessing about your fit. Make sure you get that out of the way and get it dealt with because you will have more fun and you'll be able to transmit more power on a bike that fits you. Now, getting pain in your lower back when you're cycling can come from, first, your core not being very strong. And it will get stronger as you ride. Just make sure that as you're riding, you clench your stomach muscle and let it work. Don't let it relax. Now, the second thing will be if you're using very large gears for your fitness and your cadence is low, you're putting too much strain on the muscles in your lower back. That will be, that's a combination. So keep that in mind when you do that. So, I still think that it starts with your fit, first of all, and then you have to make sure, because when your bike fits you, it takes away a lot of the questions. The second thing is a lot of guys don't like the downshift. I don't know what it is about guys. And, I say guys because, most of the people I ride with are guys. But it's kind of like you come to a hill. The guys we ride with Team RR, Paul and I have talked about it. When I'm pulling and I come to a hill and I downshift, they see that as a sign of weakness. They always try to come around me. And then when the wind hits them, it's like they hit what Mo calls the Chinese wall. The thing when you downshift, you're tired. I'm downshifting because combination of the wind and the grade, and I want to keep my tempo. Because by using the right gear, as the hill gets harder, I can power over that hill quicker than being in the wrong gear without laboring. And they always, every time you downshift, they'll come around and then go nowhere because then the grade hits them and they're in a bigger gear. And what I usually do, I attack them. I don't stand up. I just go hard. I do that every time. And that's what I talked about in that video. They're going to learn by attrition. At some point, I'm waiting for someone in that group to ask me, why do you ride like that? Why do you do that? We already have a guy named Paul H. who calls us now the high cadence guys. So he's picked up on that because he's seen us ride away from them on climbs. We're going to start filming those because we've been filming just the early part of the ride. We're going to mix it up. I'm going to start filming where they're starting to hurt, hour 2, hour 3, because they killed themselves the first hour. We're going to start skipping, just maybe do the first hour as documentary, and then we're going to kick into where they start paying for their first stretch to Taco Corner. That's what I have on my mind. We'll discuss that with Paul. We want to show you guys what happens when they don't pace themselves. Because last week we left them out there and just rode home. Like, you know, they start stuff and then the hill hits them and you see they got rubber legs and there's more hills. We just rode off. And my thing is they're going to have to learn. Either they're going to ask or it's going to keep happening until they do. That's the thing. So don't be shy about downshifting, because that's another thing that can hurt your lower back. The gear's too big. Let's see here. Hey, how big of a factor do you think? This is Murky Blaze. How big of a factor do you think genetics play a role in cycling power? Can someone without a power meter and proper training plan still be as strong as someone with the former? I don't know what this emphasis is on power meter. The power meter does not make you a strong cyclist. And this is not about Murky Blaze's question. This is about everybody. Just buying a power meter is not going to make you strong. You think Greg LeMond won the Tour de France because of a power meter? He didn't have a power meter. Eddie Merckx, 300 races without a power meter. Let's get over this, guys. It's just a tool. All it does, it tells you what you're putting out. It does not make you strong. That's all it does. You still got to do something with your legs. And then the power meter says, oh, by the way, you're doing 300 watts. So if you decide I want to do 300 watts longer, you still got to do the work. So if you don't have the talent, which is what Murky Blaze is talking about, the genetics and the discipline and the dedication, there are some riders that have less talent, but they know how to, what we call, suffer. And they will outride most more talented riders. So quit getting hung up on power meter. Power meter doesn't do nothing. We drop guys with power meters every Saturday. Mark has a power meter. Paul H has a power meter. You know, there's a joke where I've said it, Museo was on a ride. Somebody showed up with a power meter, heart rate monitor. He got dropped on a hill. They got to the cafe. Museo asked him, what was your power meter saying when you got dropped on that hill? Let's not get hung up on these gadgets. They don't ride the bike, guys. They're not going to, a power meter will not make you a strong rider. A power meter will show you what you're doing, and then you go and do the work to improve. The power meter does not make you strong. You have to do the work. We're putting too much emphasis on these meters. So if somebody has more talent and to do the work, yeah. But just having talent is not enough at the top levels, because people with less talent that have done the work will outdo you if you don't train. The challenge is each rider is different. We can do the same mileage every week, and the performance will be different because of, like Murky said, genetics. So you can't just follow somebody's training plan blindly. You have to know what works for you. One rider might need 150 miles a week. So let's say 10 hours. A next rider might need double those kind of hours to get to the same fitness level. The challenge is that the rider finding out what he or she needs, what your engine needs. You've got to get to know yourself. Whether you got a power meter, heart rate monitor doesn't mean anything. You have to know how much work it takes you to get you in shape, in your best condition. It's going to vary for every rider because we're all different. So yes, genetics plays a role. And it has a lot to do with, you have to find out whether you thrive under high cadence. You have to find out how you thrive when it comes to a hill. What kind of cadence works for you? Everybody rides a hill differently. One person might be doing 75 RPMs. The other person might be doing 100 or 110. The next person might be doing 85. So you have to find out what works for your engine in each situation. That's what training is about, getting to know yourself. It's the same thing with the garments I wear. When I talk about, 10C and up, it's just a gauge. Every human being is different. We regulate heat differently. So if you put on the same garment and you go outside on a ride, say it's 50 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 10 Celsius, and that day you felt cold, you learn from that and say, I need more. Then the next person might need less because I run hot, so I need less. So all these things are what you go through to learn about yourself. Every rider is different. You all can do the same group ride every week. You're not going to be the same level of fitness because in addition to the group ride, other people are doing other things. And there are things that trigger certain fitness because if you do too much for you, you can actually set yourself back and have worse performance because you've overloaded yourself. So you're so unique. So you have to get to know yourself. Don't worry about anybody else. Nobody cares about what your power meter says. You need to pay attention to how you're recovering from all the work you're doing. That's what's hard. That's why training is a science. That's why riders, if you guys know, when you go to an event, everybody's got a little bit of a butterfly because they don't really know how they're going to perform. Even though they've been doing that training, they don't know how they're going to perform at the event. Then after the event, everybody's kind of relaxed now because people have, okay, I did okay, or I didn't do. And then the serious riders are analyzing now, what do I need to do to make sure the next time I get here with better condition or whatever. That's what you have to do. You have to constantly be learning. And this never ends in any sporting endeavor, whether it's soccer, skiing, whatever. It's different for every sport. So if you're somebody that runs and rides the bike, it's going to be different for running than for the bike. You've got to find out what you need to get you ready for running, for running, and then you got to find out what you need for the bike. And then if you're swimming, you got to find out what you need for swimming. Very sport specific. So yeah, it's hard. It's hard. It's not easy. It's a science. And that's why a small percentage of the people got it nailed down. That's the reason why some people get coaches to help them analyze and learn, because you're learning about you. That's the key. So, yeah, it's not, there's no fix. There's no quick fix. You got to focus on you. And that's why I tell people, pay attention to you and your stats. That's why the pros wear a heart rate monitor belt. They got a power meter in the cranks or wherever, and they just ride. Then when they get back and they're done, then they download stuff and they analyze based on how they felt. They look at what the data says. They're trying to learn because from year to year, event to event, it's going to vary. The human body is not the same. You're always changing based on how much sleep you've had, how much food, what's going on with you, with stresses at work, at home, whatever. So many variables are going into play that affect your performance. So yeah, so you got all of that to worry about. That's why I don't worry about other riders. I pay attention to how I feel. That's what I'm saying. Listen to your legs. You watch all the champions. And one thing I like about Greg LeMond, all the time, if you've ever watched the old clips, every time he was interviewed, even when leading the Tour de France, he would tell them, let's see how my legs are tomorrow. Let's see what I have good legs in the mountains. He always said that. At that time, I didn't get it. Now I do. He never knew how his body was going to perform. Even though he won this stage today and they're interviewing him, he still got to rest now overnight, see how he recovered, And then some of the tours that he did, he would let them know that, yes, I'm getting stronger every week. So, from year to year, it varied. They did different. There are times when he would be crawling in the Giro, and then right before the Tour, he's in good condition for the Tour. And they always complain, oh, he always only trains for the Tour or whatever. It was a different time of racing, So it's not easy. There's no easy answer. You got to do the work. And the people who do the work are the people who know when to back off. Oh, I'm not feeling good, back off. And, or I'm feeling good, I go. So you've got to get to know you. That's the challenge with training. So I hope this will help you, Murky, but you need to focus on you. Quit worrying about these gadgets. They don't mean anything. A lot of them, it's like, if you're tired, the power meter ain't going to show you anything. It's very humbling. you pedal and you got 120 watts. What the heck is that? So the power meter can be humbling. So sometimes You got to really get beyond that and make sure that you're focusing on your recovery as well as your training. You need a structured plan. Whether you got a power meter, heart rate monitor, it doesn't matter. You need to know how to use them. Otherwise, you just wasted your money. Let's see here. Gracie Sapienza says, hi. Hi, Gracie. So I'm not sure. Gracie said, dude, who are you, man? This is stupid. All right. Well, I guess Gracie needs to go. I'm sure probably Paul probably blocked her. Gracie, you don't belong here. Don't waste our time. Use the internet for something better. Let's see here. This is Bigundu. Okay, you're welcome. He says, thank you for the explanation. Chris Roxbury said they have power meters back then. It's called having a brain, LOL. Yeah, I don't want to come across that I'm anti-power meter. I am not. I got my eyes on power meters. I want something that will be portable between my bikes. They're nice to have, but I think people are too hung up on them. You know, they're there to let you know. If I had a power meter on my bike, I would look at the data after the ride to see how many watts did I put out on that climb. Okay. Then let's say Tuesday I go and ride by myself. I would use the power meter and say, okay, let me do the same watt that I put out during the group ride today. But if I started to try to do the same wattage and my legs start screaming and I feel like crap, then I would know I'm a little tired today because I know I've done that before. That's what you use the power meter for. If you're struggling to do something you knew you've done before, then you got to think, okay, why am I struggling today? And today was the day you're supposed to go hard. Then you know, okay, maybe I'm not recovered. Maybe I didn't sleep well or I worked too much. You know, then you go back and read that. And why do you do that? The reason you do that is by going back and saying, I rode great on Saturday. I hammered this hill. I did 350 watts. Now here it is Tuesday, and I'm struggling. Then you go back and say, okay, what did I do on Sunday, Monday? Did I party too much or whatever? So then what do you learn from that? You say, okay, if I have a big ride coming up, maybe I don't want to party too much or whatever that made you not perform that Tuesday. That's what those things are for. That's what the pros use them for. They go back and they say, okay, why am I struggling? They figure out what they may have done. And then they try to replicate what they did before Saturday when they had a good ride. And they do that every time they want to perform well. That's how you use those tools so that when you got a big ride or race coming up, then you say, okay, I got to go to bed early because I know this is what works. That's what that's about. Now, there are times before a ride, you're excited, you can't sleep, but that's okay. At least you just relax. You know, you're home watching a movie, whatever. There are times when you just can't sleep. You don't worry about it. But that's what you want to use those things for, is to try to replicate the efforts. That's what they're for. That's all it is. To just, it's more specific. It gets you right there. Let's see here. Wesley asking about the frame measuring service. I don't know if I loaded it or not. I know we've designed it. I will look into that, Wesley. I think I probably rolled it into the consulting thing. I think it was 150. That's what we're trying to get to. I will make sure it's on the website this week for the Kish. Yeah, the Kish collaboration there. Yeah. And for that fee, we handle everything. We do your measurements. We make sure he gets the bike done right for you and shipped to you. I mean, it depends on whether you're going to have him do a whole bike and all of that. But we take care of all the measurements. He likes that because then you don't have to deal with his gobbledygook. We make sure that the bike will fit you. Because we're going to do we measure you and everything. It's almost like a bike sizing plus kind of thing. So I'll make sure it's out there. I designed it already. Make sure it's out there. El Mascarado, any tips or trick on how to perfectly align or center your handlebars and stem to your front wheel? Only method I know is to do one eye, open eye, closed thing. I stand in front of the bike. I put the wheel between my legs, and just straighten the stem, and you can pretty much just see it. Now, the second thing is you can stand facing the bar, you know, your back to the saddle, go over the top tube, stand there, and use the bar and line up the bar with your hub, you know, where the hub is. That's another way to do that. But if you just straighten it from the other side, it usually is spot on. You know. Jeffrey says, petty question, have you ever going to offer VHT? I'd like to represent off the bike. Yeah, we have some tees. We have several designs. I'm not sure which ones we're going to go with. I do have one that you see in the video hanging up. And what I need to do, Chris Roxbury had mentioned that. I need to load it on the website. So give me about a week. I will put it out there. We already have the tees. I just didn't put it on the website. VH. And we'll change the design from time to time. But right now, we have a black T-shirt with the mural from the channel that's on there. It's called Team Veloharmony. And that's kind of cool. I wore it on one of these sessions, and Chris had mentioned that. I will load it on the website. Let's see here. Is it Jeffrey? Yeah. I'll load on the website and let you know. Jeffrey Davis. Okay. VH T-shirt. Yeah, we'll load them on there. We'll get different samples, different colors. I think it'll be interesting to have different colors for people to pick and get them on there. So Angelo 16D, he said, does jogging help your cycling? Bad weather in upstate New York. Jogging does not necessarily help your cycling, but it helps your general conditioning of your engine. It doesn't mean that it's wasted, but it's not going to specifically tune the muscle for the motion of cycling. So if you're jogging because the weather's bad, your general conditioning is fine, but not your cycling specific fitness. At the top levels, you need to be specific for the sport. So that's the reason why people use indoor trainers. And the reason people use indoor trainers, there are some guys, even in upstate New York or wherever you are, that may have a race coming up right in March or something. And so they're trying to make sure they get themselves ready and not depend on the road per se. So if you're not training for anything coming up early when the road's open, then yeah, you can do other general stuff. They call them cross training, and it will keep you in general good physical conditioning. But when it starts coming close to your main events, you got to be on the bike. So Jeffrey says you can use a plumb level and measuring tape. Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, the T-shirt. I'll get those T-shirts out there. I'll get some. I don't want to get too many of one design because we may start moving things around. But yeah, I'll put them out there. Let's see here. Chuck McNally, ride solo for exercise and enjoyment, full rigid mountain bike. Going to purchase first real road bike. Would I notice the big difference between 25 and 28 tires? Yeah, 25 and 28, they're kind of close, but 32, yeah, you definitely will. The bigger tires ride better. I use 23, 25, 28. I don't have any 32s. None of them would fit my road frames. If you're going to use 32 on a road frame, when you buy your bike, make sure you buy a road frame that can take a 32. And if you're buying it off the shelf, then it probably won't unless you're getting it done custom. But the 28, from the 28 to the 32, I don't know. You might notice it's not that, significant. But yeah, from the 25 to the 28, you notice it. Definitely from the 23 to the 28. So yeah, I ride all of them. I got 25, 28. I put 23 on the front on one bike because it won't take a 25 because of the fork. Well, the brake caliper gets rubbed on. But I like the bigger tires. I like at least a 25. If you're more than 150 pounds, you need big tires on the bike. They ride faster. That's why sports cars got big tires in the back. You have more rubber on the road. So when you put the power down, it got more traction. Let's see here. Angela, would you like to do bike touring when you retire and kids are out of the house? I'm never going to retire. I'm retired now. I'm doing exactly what I want to be doing. Yeah, I gave up the rat race. This is one rat that is no longer in the rat race, if you know what I mean. So, you know, I don't get into all this retire. A lot of people around here retired and they die because they got nothing to do. I'm doing what I want to be doing. Life's too short. So I don't know about bike touring. So you're talking about just going out on tours or whatever? Yeah, probably. I don't know, but I wouldn't really do tours as opposed to just do some grand fondos in different places. Yeah, I would like to get an RV and then take off so I can just go from place to place and ride and then have the RV. That would be the plan. But I don't know about kids being out of the house. I ain't waiting for no kids to get out of the house to live my life. I'm living it now. Dennis Anderson says, hi, I just purchased the new Cyclery Hotshot Pro 200. So did I, Dennis. Are you stalking me or something? Are you one of those people? There's a movie I saw on Netflix called Anon, A-N-O-N. Interesting movie where in the future, everybody is wired into like a mainframe, meaning the cops can walk by and they just see your name on you in the street. Everybody's kind of wired. And the reason I brought that up is that they can basically see what you're going to do before you even do it. You know, no, I bought the 200 this morning from some guy was selling it. I think Amazon I got it from. The 200. The reason I bought the 200, the Hotshot 200, it hasn't come yet, of course. It hasn't even shipped. I did it this morning before I went out. The 200, I didn't buy it because it's brighter. I bought it because they finally have put a strap on it. The Hotshot 150 was the preceding model. They also have a Hotshot 100. That's just the lumens. Now, keep in mind the lumens, the 200 will only kick in when there's flashing. They don't let it do 200 when it's steady. Not only would it require so much power, but it's just too bright. So they use 200 only in the flashing modes. But I bought the Dice 50, did a review on it. The reason I picked the Dice 50 was because they had a strap. I don't care to put anything on my seat post. And plus you affix it and then it's stuck. I want things I can move from bike to bike. And so with the strap, it's easy. So they finally have a strap on there, which if you have it, you know. That's why I went ahead and bought it, and I will do a review when it comes in because it's a lot brighter than the Dice 50. The Dice 50 bright, don't get me wrong, but it's just nice to have the difference. I didn't want to get another Dice 50 since they already put a strap with this one. I got the Hotshot 200, and it's like a light show on the bike. So yes, I will be reviewing it, Dennis. It should be here probably maybe Monday. I'm thinking the estimate will be here Monday. I will do a review, and you'll see it on my bikes. I will move them around. I use all kinds of different lights. I've got the Surface 80 lumens. That's the one I carry sometimes. I've got the Dice 50. Now this Hotshot. I believe in the light. At a minimum, I have a light on the rear of my bike, dancing around when I'm riding. Even if I don't put one on the front during the day, like the day it was sunny, I don't bother. But on the back, I got some on there. And it really does work. It's really, really cool. So yes, it's on the way. And maybe they heard me because the last time that was my gripe. It's like, you know, this is the modern time. I don't want to have to use a screwdriver to put a light on my bike. Just give me a strap. And you can put that anywhere now with the strap. You can put it on the seat stay, the seat post, the seat stay, you know, wherever. I like that. You just pull the strap tighter on the smaller tubes. So you can place your light anywhere you want. I'm going to put it on my saddle and, you know, tilt it this way horizontally and just put it on the back of the SMP because it's got a little bridge there that you can use to clamp it. So that's kind of cool. All right, let's see here. Getting ready 101. Sit side of wheel against a corner wall. Push bike up till bars touch the wall on the other side of the corner. Everything will line up perfectly. No guesswork, but eyeballing is good enough. Oh, I think he's answering the question. Yeah, I've never had trouble with that. I've never had anybody had challenges straightening. You know how when people crash, the first thing to do, somebody grabs the bars and straightens them. It usually is pretty spot on. It's not that hard to do. I think he's just very anal like me, so he just wants to make sure it's perfect. Jeffrey Davis, Elder, using the same brand, the 28 felt better than the 32 in my case. Yeah, I haven't used the 32 in a very long time. I used to use it a long time ago, but if I were to get a gravel bike or something, I'd probably put a 32 on there. I don't think it's going to make a difference. I ride a 32 with anybody. I don't worry about those little things. When I'm riding, I just ride. I just don't worry about all those little. I don't think it makes that big of a difference for the kind of riding we're doing. We're not at the world tour level where we're getting, tenth of a second here and there between first and second place and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, so I think it's just the kind of riding you want to do. If you're going to do a lot of dirt stuff and other stuff like that, gravel, put a 32 on there, be more comfortable. You won't have flats, and then get the specific tire for that kind of terrain. And, on the gravel tire, you can use on the road too, so they're probably tougher. I don't like to have mechanicals on the road, especially with a flat. So I don't play with tires. I have a bunch, and when like today, it's just the tire. I think it was 2 days ago. A tire had a thing in there I talked about. I just put new tires on both wheels. I kept the front tire because it was worn, but I don't like to mix brands. So I took the Schwalbe one off the front, which was not as worn, and just put it to the side, and I'll use it with another one because it's pretty much new. The front doesn't wear as quickly. And I just put 2 new Continental, the 4000 S2s that I had. I put a 25 on the rear and a 23 on the front for the blue bike. And that's probably what I'll use this weekend, because I will take it out tomorrow, see how it rolls and all that, which would be fun. I never go to a ride with brand new tires. So I'm going to take it out and, get the newness off of it. Gonna break it in. Chris Rippey, yes, I'm feeling better. I was just talking about Chris Rippey is now Lioness. Thanks, man. We appreciate your support. Yeah, I'm fine. What I did was, and I'll just share with you guys. My daughter came home with sore throat, my 7-year-old. So we gave her medication, whatever. So for 2 days, she was a little below the weather. She was still eating, but not as active. She was still able to go to school. Low-grade fever. We treated the symptoms with Tylenol and stuff. After 2 days, I think it was like middle of the week, Sunday, the week before, not this gone Sunday, I started having a sore throat. And I was like, oops, So I started treating the symptoms with fluids, and my wife bought lozenges just to keep me comfortable. And so throughout that week, I just backed off. I rode 2 days just listening to how I would feel. And I went out early in the week. Then I took 2 days off, Thursday and Friday off. So Saturday I rode in the group ride, which you guys saw. And I felt good in the group ride. We did like 70-something miles. I felt really good, but I didn't feel smooth and fast. It's like my form. When I don't ride a lot, it's like your body forgets. That's just me. But so Sunday I took the day off just to make sure that Saturday wasn't a fluke. Felt good after the illness. Don't push it. Sunday just hung around the house. That's why the video came out on time. I did that, hung out with the girls. Then Monday, so then Sunday I felt great. Then Monday I went for a ride and I rode hard by myself. Monday felt good. So okay, so yeah, everything, the head cold's gone, no problems, no nothing. So yeah, so Tuesday I took the day off, just worked in the office, did some stuff, and then today I rode almost 4 hours. Feeling like my old self. And that's the way I err on the side of more rest. So now last week, so I went and looked at my schedule. So last week now will be a rest week because of the illness, because of the reduced volume. So now I'm starting a new cycle to where I made that a rest week, even though it wasn't due. And so I'm going to go for 6 weeks regular. The goal is to the end of March before I take another rest week. You have to always kind of do that. You don't want to just keep riding all year and never have a rest week. Rest week means I will ride every other day, whatever. It's a pattern you follow. But that allows you to be able to ride without burning out. So your body continues to build. So I get stronger every 6 weeks. That's the goal. So the gentleman who asked about how many more watts he put, I think it was Steve Peterson. He said, I'm at 240. How much more can I do? So if you're testing for stuff like that, you go 6 weeks. And then you take a test that 6th week and do like a threshold test. And then you kind of rest. And then the next 6 weeks you can do if you want to do that. Some people go 3 months. and they'll do that. Because you don't want to do it too often. It's not fun. Threshold tests are not fun. They're hard. So, yeah. So I'm 100%. It's kind of good. I always err on the side. I hate being sick. So it's kind of like, it was one of the, for 4 days, I didn't feel like myself. She only was affected by for 2 days. I told my wife, I said, these kids are dangerous. They bring a bug and it affects them for 2 days and knocks you down for 4 days. I told her we need a decontamination chamber at the back door when they get out of school. Like they do on the spaceships. So they can go through and be quarantined. Before they enter the house. All right, let's see here. Tony T, he says, apparently in a tour of Colombia, rim brakes won over disc brakes as per Dorian Ryder. Yeah, I don't watch Dorian Ryder. The thing about rim brakes and disc brakes, what I'm finding is you have a choice. If you're buying a bike, you can ask and just say, I want rim, I want this. I don't care one way or the other, like I've said. If you're buying a new bike and you want to try it, my issue had been they were pushing it like we had a problem stopping bicycles. That was my problem. And then they want to charge you more. You know, come on. You know, they put the thing in and they price it up. It's like, no. So, yeah, that's my thing. It's like if you're coming up with something that is a clear improvement, fine. But why you got to rip me off with these high prices? Because that's what they're doing. They're trying to justify because it's a new technology and all that. It's not new. Disc brakes been around. You know, I had a mountain bike. It had disc brakes. It was no big deal. Nobody talked about it. It just had it. You know, so yeah, they're just trying to move it to the road, and that's okay. If you want that, it's fine. Yeah, and I think it's a preference. I think a lot of the pros are choosing, you know, because they didn't just go over 100%. You know, I don't think it makes that big of a difference. You know, stopping a bicycle has never been a problem. Problem's been going fast. So let's see. Jeffrey says, I love my Dash dice combo. Yeah, I still have the Dash 600, and that's why I like the strap. You don't need to buy many lights. If you got many bikes, just get the ones with a strap. You can just put it on the other bike that you're riding. That's all I do. I move them around. You don't need to buy everything they have. You know, so yeah, that's what I like. I don't like the other ones that you put on the seat post. You got to screw the holder there and then attach it so it's affixed to one bike. When you want to swap, you got to use a screwdriver. So they went with a strap. I think that makes sense. Nowadays, this needs to be just give us straps. We can put them wherever we want. Yeah. Ron says, hi, Elder, do you still use the SF pouch that fit? Yeah, I have that. I still use that. I mostly use that when I ride solo because what I've done on that one is I've loaded everything but the kitchen sink. I've got 2 tubes in there. My pump is in there. I've got a multi-tool, all of that. Yes, I have that. And I use them on my heavier jerseys, like this one you see me wearing my winter stuff. The pockets are more robust. On my lightweight jerseys, I don't use that SF pouch that much. Some of the lighter weight jerseys, like my Aero jerseys and so forth, their pockets are smaller. I don't want to rip them. So then I use my small pouch that you see. So yes, I use them. And sometimes I'll take, like when Paul and I were doing the long rides in December, that's what I took. Because it has everything in there. And I just grab the pouch, put it in there, knowing that the pump, everything is in there. The only thing I add to it is the spoke wrench for the wheel on whatever bike I'm using. Because my bikes have different spoke sizes. Some of the Campy wheels, they come with these, like the Urus. They have the nipple is huge. And so Campy sends you a small wrench, a spoke that looks like a wrench. And that you have to carry that for that. And then some of the other ones, you guys know, they got the green, red, and black spoke sizes. So I use the green for some of the wheels, like my Zondas. That's just the standard one. So I leave the spoke wrench in a bowl. I have a blue bowl that holds a few tools. It's magnetic. I leave it there. So as I decide which bike to ride, I just grab a spoke wrench from there and put it in the bag. That's all I add to whatever bag I'm taking. It makes it a lot easier because the wheels are different. That's the thing. But yes, that SF bag works. So Dennis says, thanks for the response. I think the rubber band holder will work good for me. I can change it easier on my road to the 29. I tell you what, the 200 is 10 times brighter than the 50. Yeah, I believe that because you're right. Because Mo has the I think the 150, the Hot Shot Pro 150. Mo is the guy I saw the light on his bike, and he gave me the brand Cycle light. And then I went and looked, and that's when I bought the dash and the dice. So yes, I see it all the time. He uses it all the time. He said he had problems with it in the rain, and he believes it was just a gasket on the USB port. He thinks it was loose and water got in there, but he got it sorted. It still works. So that's about the only thing he told me about it. Just be careful in the rain to make sure you you squeeze that area if you've just charged it. I just like the longevity of the lights. The Dice 50 has been on the bike for months. I've never had to charge it. It has, the setting I'm on is the 3 lightning flash for the daylight stuff. And it has 35 hours of use. I don't ride that bike all the time. So 35 hours, that's at least 2 to 3 months. So I was like, wow. The current lights I have that I use, like the Surface, I get 6 hours and I got to charge it. So it's just blown all these other lights out of the way. And even though the Pro is a lot brighter, which is great, I will still use the dice on other bikes. I love the form factor and how it just fits in there. So yeah, the light, there's no reason not to. It's a whopping $36 or something for the Pro. I found it online this morning. So $40 or less for safety. I mean, that's a no-brainer. So everybody should have one. I think it's a smart thing to have. You're very visible. People can see that thing. You know, it's just our bikes are not very visible. I mean, even motorcyclists, sometimes people don't see them. That's why they have daytime running lights on motorcycles. Back in the day, they started that trend before cars started doing that, so they'd be more visible. So yeah, you can't go wrong. I don't ride without a rear light. If it's sunny, I may not turn on my front light. Seems redundant because I'm looking at what's coming, you know, so it's not that bad. But on a cloudy day, I have both of them on so people can see me, you know. But yeah. Chris Rippey, our super legend. Oh, bad chest cold. Yeah. It says it's in your chest below the neck. Yeah, don't ride. You know, let your body heal. If it's above the neck, you can ride easy and kind of in the cold weather clear. But yeah, just you're not missing out on anything. Let your body heal. You'll get back better off. Just, you know, deal with the symptoms. There's something this time of year, stuff going around. McGundu, I'm actually sick right now. Took 2 days off. My new bike is crying for attention. Yeah, just let yourself heal if you're not well. There's no point. You're not going to improve if you ride and you're sick. Now, if you feel okay and you just want to get on the trainer or go outside for a little spin, don't treat it like training. Just go ride and take in the sights and just keep the gears low and just enjoy being outside. That's what I did those 2 days. I was not training. I just rode easy. No gadgets, no heart rate monitor, nothing. You know. So Angela says disc brakes rub. All of them do. Even I ride with guys where you see their wheel is always closer to one pad on the rim brake, then the other one is further away. They just don't pay attention to centering the pads. Same thing with the discs. If you don't line them up, yeah, it's going to rub, and that's robbing your power. So yeah, and then it will wear out your pads, you know, the disc pads. So you just have to keep up with it. Somebody didn't line it up right. That's all. It's not the brake's fault. Rim brakes, yeah. Every week I see guys, I'm like, all you got to do is move that brake over. It's so easy. I don't know why people don't do that. Yeah, the disc brakes are fine. I mean, you know, if the bike comes with it nowadays, they're looking pretty clean. I've seen some of the stuff that the pros ride. The disc looks pretty cool. In fact, I've seen some of the disc brakes about the same size as the cassette, and it looks really neat on the bike. Now they've got the thing sorted to how they're routing the wires. They don't have twist ties holding them and everything. So I think they're cleaner looking now. Yeah, if I were getting a new frame and it came with it, it wouldn't be a problem. You know, so it's just they're just brakes. But they made such a big deal out of it. Like, how often do you really brake hard? I don't. You know, I use the wind. I'm coasting. Yeah, I don't use my brakes much. I'm yet to wear out pads on the bike. Let's see. Tony T. Disc brakes are excellent, but unless you're racing down mountains, we really don't need them. They're nice. Yeah, they're nice. I mean, they're fine. I just don't. Some of the arguments that people would come up with, because some people get defensive if you say, "Oh well, they're not necessary," and people have them and they feel like, "Oh no, they got to justify it." No, you don't. It's like, okay, if you have carbon rims and you have the pads, yeah, they're okay. They don't stop as well as aluminum. And I think that's what started this trend. And that's fine. And I think that the reason they're doing it is it gives the designers more leeway to really get crazy with the designs on the frames. It gives them more options if they're not attaching. And I think even the wheel design, I think they have more options when you have discs. So they don't have to have a spot for you to use for braking. So they can really get more creative. I think, so there's always a good that comes out of it. But rim brakes are not going to go away. Some people just prefer them. And now when you're buying a bike, they'll ask you, do you want rim or do you want discs? That's what all the builders do anyway. And I think even the people that sell frames in the shops, they have disc road frames and rim, brake road frames. So yeah. So Angela said, what do you think about Cavendish still in the pro? He's had many horrors just past couple of years. I mean, I don't know. I think he still loves riding and still loves competing. I'm not sure. I haven't seen him do much. And I think because of the crashes, it sets back his training. So hopefully he can have a healthier 2019 and do well. I like Mark. He's a fighter. So I think it's cool. As long as the desire is there, yeah, he's a fast guy. You don't just lose that. So I think with all the crashes, I think every time you crash, you got to rehabilitate, get back. So that's probably why we haven't seen him do too much. So Kevin Brandon, can you say hello to Zemina Ramos, please, please, please? Who's Zemina Ramos? Is that a cyclist? I hope I pronounced that correctly. I'm shopping for a fitting good frame, not pretty brakes. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you just need to, before you buy a frame, make sure you know your size. Make sure you know your frame size so that you can get a frame that will be under you, that's not too small or too big. And that's where it starts, because you can't change it. You got to make sure you get a frame that fits you, and then you can dial the stem and other things in. El Mascara said, my opinion, disc brakes are overrated, unnecessary. We've been riding calipers many moons. Disc brakes have been around for a long time. They've started pushing them onto the road bikes, on a mountain bike and other stuff. The heavier bikes, they've been there. And yeah, like you said, my thing is that when they started, it was just everywhere, especially on GCN. They were just pushing the stuff so much, as if to say the current brakes were not working, And then everything we've been trained to do, especially riding in the pack or the peloton, you've been told to stay off the brakes. You drift to the right, catch the wind, because you don't want to brake in the group. So it just seemed counterintuitive to be pushing brakes for a discipline where we're told to lay off the brakes. Because a lot of times when you're riding in close proximity to other riders and you're going fast, the brakes are not your friend. When I'm riding, I'm always looking for a way out, left or right. Something happens, I'm looking for a corner to shoot through. I'm not braking. I'll ride out of there. That's what you do. That's what gets you out of trouble, because you don't have time to stop. You're following so close anyway. They're right there. That's why you see the pros a lot of times, they just fall, because it just happens before you can do anything, And so a lot of the guys will stay near the front. They work harder to stay near the front. Generally, most stuff happens further back. But yeah, they were just pushing. It's just marketing, and that's fine. But it's kind of like when you give your honest opinion and people get upset. Oh, because it's out there and it's trendy. There was a guy, bike barn leader named Kurt on a ride a while back. We rode with him, and he had a bike that's strictly made for discs. And so my comment to him was, I guess there's no going back for you, meaning that, you know, oh yeah, this is, you know, this is it. These are great. And he was pushing the discs. And he's the owner, he's the manager of the bike shop, the bike barn. And so what I told him was, my problem is going fast, not stopping. And I guess that didn't go over too well, because it was like, on the same ride, he was laughing because we were wearing shoe covers on a ride that was wet. You know, but all their shoes were dirty because of the road and whatever. And so Paul and I kind of laughed about it. I was like, what is he laughing at? So he didn't like that too much. And like, you know, he gets stuff at discount, so he puts it on his bike, but the other people are paying full price. So my thing is don't go throw away your rim brakes. If you're getting a new bike and they come with discs and you want to try them, that's great. You know, it's good to try new things. It's good to have an open mind, you know. Like the electronic shifting and all that. If you want to try them, you're getting a new bike and it's within your budget, great. The reason I didn't try them was at the time, maybe the prices have dwindled. Their replacements are so high. The front, the rear, just every part for the electronic thing when it breaks, they're high. I was like, come on. You know, you pay $100 for our Campagnola Super Regular front to rear. You try to get that for EPS, it was just sky high. So I don't know if I want to invest in something that's going to be that costly when stuff breaks. And so maybe now they're settling, you know. Ihan Wang, how you doing? I'm so Silan So. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly. I'm from the Philippines, learned a lot. Where do I donate? Oh, you mean super chat? Well, look on, there's a $ down there on your app. Just click on it and you'll see a bar and you can do a super chat, Ihan. That's one way. If you want to go on patreon.com, you can do that and become a patron. But if you're talking about just here, yeah, use the super chat. There should be a $ on your app. Let's see here. The Gundu, Rob, I got my height. Okay, he's talking to somebody else. So I hope that helps you, Ihan. Let's see here. Yeah, the cool thing about this time that we're in is that I love all the innovation. When I talk about the stuff that Rafa makes, guys, it may seem, I hope it doesn't come across like I'm making this stuff up. When we used to race in the late 80s and the 90s, I mean, we had what we had, so you had nothing to compare it to. And we didn't have the things that would keep you warm. To be warm, you have to wear more stuff. You guys have heard about putting aluminum foil on your feet. We used to do that because the covers weren't that good. The shoe covers weren't that good. So you kind of made do. But now we don't have to do that. We got nice shoe covers. They got different kind, you know, that's what I mean. You know, we had the cotton cap. And somebody made a comment on the video I made about caps and says, somebody put a comment whether you flip it up or flip it down. And I think Stefano said he can't see in the drops. I mean, I don't have that problem when I'm in the drops. I don't know what kind of cap he's wearing. Maybe the brim is just too long or whatever. But I don't know why he has trouble seeing with his cap on when he's in the drops. So I don't know, maybe it's his position. But yeah, so just all we had were the cotton caps. We didn't have all these nice new materials. Back in the day before I got into racing, remember those guys used to wear wool shorts before Lycra came out. So things have always been evolving in this sport. This sport has a lot of technology in it, so that's great. We don't want to stifle that. So you kind of have to take it with a grain of salt and say, okay, I want to try that. I don't want to try that, and so forth and so on, because we've come a long way. The garments that we're using now, I mean, I can wear 2 layers. I wore 2 layers today. It was 45 degrees when I took off to go ride, and I was comfortable. I was like, man, back in the day, shit, you had to raid the closet. You know, that's why that man stopped me and said, how can you guys ride in this weather? You're not even, the stuff doesn't look thick. That's what he meant. And he wasn't a cyclist, just a guy driving a truck at the store. Because that's what people used to wear. We just don't have to wear heavy stuff because that's how you used to get the warmth. Now they're pushing what they say, warmth without weight. I think even Rafa has a slogan or something like that. So yeah, this is a good time, and it's good for the sport that they're doing all these things. But my only caveat is getting pricier, and we don't want to price people out of the sport. So I always try to tell people, you know, you don't need a fancy bike to participate. You don't, you know. So it's like, just get a bike that you can afford. Join us. Get out there and get yourself fit. Let's see here. Let's see. Rums TK. Hi, I can't find something on the net. I'm not sure what that is. So yeah, the sport has come a long way, and I love what we have access to now. I think that we can handle a lot of different temperatures. I mean, even riding in the rain is very tolerable. Those of you who saw the premiere that Paul and I did with the old Castelli plastic rain jacket I still have that. It still works. It's probably okay. I'll probably wear it in one of the rainy rides. I think it'll be cool. The old school stuff, you know. But it's like back in the day, I used to wear Karnak shoes, and they were very thick. They had as far as the sole, but I liked them because they had a wide toe box. And I chose Karnak because Le Mans used to ride Karnak. At some point in his career, he used Karnak shoes, and they weren't that common, but they were pretty good shoes. Just, you know, a little clunky. Nowadays, the shoes are so much lighter. Feels like you're wearing slippers. It's just it's come a long way. Let's see here. Silent Sosa, got it. Okay, you're welcome. So we're going to be we're going to do the ride this week. What I want to do with this ride is what we'll do is when Paul takes a pull, I'm going to get the camera from him so I can show him pulling. Because what's happening is when he takes a pull, we just see the road now. So what we'll do is as he's coming by, I will get the camera as I slide off the front and then start to film as he's pulling. That way we can kind of see the continuation. And then we'll get more rear shots, because last week we didn't get a whole lot of rear shots. We'll get more rear shots and show what's transitioning. That's going to be, you know, a lot more action, because what I want to show is I want to show later in the ride when people are paying for the first hour. They go crazy the first hour, and then after that they're like, you know, then they don't want to go any further. So this weekend I want to ride long on Saturday anyway. That's our long day. So we're going to see who goes with us, and we'll make sure we film the part after Taco Corner in addition to the first part, because we've just been doing the early part. I want you guys to see what happens hour 2.5 up to 3 hours. And, you know, we do like 7 hours. So by 3 hours, those guys are cooked. You know, and I want to show that. I think because they don't pace themselves. And then every week is the same thing. They'll turn around, come home or whatever. But I just want to show that. Yeah, Taco Corner and back. That's what he says. Yeah. And, you know, and the thing is there's nothing wrong with going to Taco Corner and back. But here's the thing. If that's all you ever do, that's your limit. That's your ceiling. So why do you have a ceiling? You know, why do the same thing every Saturday? Even though we're riding 7 hours, you guys see us, we're riding hard with them, and then we still ride 7 hours. We don't say, oh, we're riding 7 hours, so we're not going to ride. No. That's the thing. So don't limit yourself. So it's like, you go to Taco Corner and back, then the next week maybe go beyond Taco Corner. And if you got to sit in more to do that, you're better off. And that's what they're not doing. But, you know, but not everybody comes back. You guys notice on the Relive, Doug turned around. I was telling Paul about it as I saw him going back because I spun down. I was still outside. And so he was going back. I like to spin when we're getting to taco corner and kind of let my legs cool down a little bit. It just helps me. So I like to take the longer way to taco corner. You know, but it should be interesting this week. We're going to change it up a little bit. We'll have more action. I think it'll be because the rides are very popular on the channel, and we want to kind of give different things every week, and I think you guys will love it. So, yeah, Andre, I'm glad you stopped. 3 in the morning. Okay, yeah, we're going to be wrapping up in about 30 minutes. So, yeah, that's cool. Tony T, can you comment on bottom brackets press fit compared to threaded? Do you find bikes having problems with press fit, or is it not a problem anymore? It's only a problem, Tony, when the mechanics don't do it properly. The press fit bottom bracket technology hinges on the fact that you have people manufacturing the bottom brackets to the specifications of multiple manufacturers. So depending on the specifications, how well the bottom bracket fits in each frame, they have recommended that you use Loctite. And they have different numbers. They'll tell you, each manufacturer of the bottom bracket will tell you, I use 609, whatever. So some people skip that. They just press it in there. And what happens is you have varying tolerances. So whether it's 1/10 of a millimeter or whatever, anytime something's rubbing off, you know, carbon is like a form of plastic. That creaking is because there's movement in the bottom bracket where they pressed it into the plastic, the shell. And that's where the noise is coming from. And I've had people bring their bikes, like Alan brought his time trial bike, the P5. And I just took the bottom bracket out, cleaned it, and applied. There was no Loctite in there. And I applied Loctite more than a year ago. I haven't heard a peep out of him because Alan's very picky. And he was frustrated because it was making all kinds of noises as he pedaled. So that's the problem. If they skip using Loctite is a problem. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to use Loctite all the time, but you have to make sure that that bottom bracket was made under the specifications of whether it's Cervelo or Trek or whoever. It's not just some manufacturer out there making press fit for all these frames that doesn't know what Trek or Cervelo may have been doing with their shell. That's the thing. So it's just best to err on the side of applying the Loctite because it is removable. You know, it's not a permanent bond, but it fills those gaps. That's what causes the noise. So no, but they do have the tendency to creak if you don't do that. All my bikes have threaded English and Italian shells, but even my Italian threaded bike that's called Nago, I had to use Loctite on it because it kept coming loose, even though I torqued it to 35 Newton meters, which is called for, because the tolerance of the frame versus who built the cup. They didn't talk to Colnago, you know. So that's the thing. So it's just kind of, yeah. So James Thompson says, do group set make a difference? If so, how? This is similar to somebody who asked about the quality of something. Yeah, they make a difference. 105 is the, I wouldn't say it's the bottom now. They got Tiagra and other things. You get what you pay for. 105 works fine. Ultegra works better. Dura Ace, that much better. It's the same thing. You got Campi, Athena, Chorus. Then you have, what is that, Record. And then you've got Super Record. So yeah, as you start going up, the components are nicer, you know, just like a Corolla is not the same as a Lexus. That's just the way it is. But they can still get you places, just not in the same style and comfort. So yeah, a 105 will not make you faster. It would just shift, you know, nicer than maybe the Tiagra. And then the Ultegra, well, you know, it's just better. So a lot of people err on the side of getting the Ultegra because they get some of the trickle-down benefits from Dura Ace, because it's like a good value group set. So, yeah, they're not the same. So it's a matter of you looking at What do I want to spend on a group set? And then you just live with that. But the difference is clear. If you put those group sets on different frames and you tested them, they work differently. You can tell the difference. Okay, let's see here. Daniel Cavazos. Do you do any rides or Grand Funding outside the Houston area? I'm out here in El Paso. We have real hills out here. We have real hills. We got real hills here too. Come visit us. Yeah, we got real hills. It's not the grade of the hills that make it hard. It's how you ride the hills. So yeah. No, we don't go too far out of our area. We stay within an hour and a half or so. So we don't tie up the whole day. So yeah, we might do Livingston and different places nearby. What's the difference between, this is Chris Mad. What's the difference between a carbon saddle and a normal saddle? The reason I'm asking is because I feel better reading with my new, oh, I guess he meant writing, with my new carbon saddle than my San Marcos saddle. Well, the carbon saddle is made out of carbon, I guess. If it has carbon rails, I don't know what your new carbon saddle is. I guess the biggest difference is you're spending more money for it. I don't feel that, I mean, carbon's lighter, I guess. I don't know how your carbon saddle is constructed. I know S&P has a pure carbon saddle that has rail and just carbon shell. I like a little bit of padding on my saddle. So I don't know. But it's just made out of carbon fiber, so it's lighter, but it's also more fragile. So you need to be very particular about the rails and how you're clamping them. Certain rails can accommodate, certain clamps can accommodate the carbon rails better because they tend to be thicker, but they're different. You're paying a lot more for the carbon stuff. Let's see here. Ihan says, you're absolutely 100% correct about the insulated Pro Team jacket. The size need to be one size up. Yeah, I had one of those. I sold it a while back. Yeah, the insulated jacket, I had one. I had to size up. You have to. There's not much stretch, and it fits well. You size up. What I have found, like I said in the review, is if the material is not stretchy, you need to go up when it comes to their jackets. The rain jacket, you got to go up. Same thing with the rain vest, you got to go up. But the only thing that I have found that fits me in their size is the wind jacket and the wind vest, because the material is stretchy. That's it. So you just gotta, you gotta play with it. That's the way to do it. So let's see here. William Godoy, what is your opinion about having a lightweight frame with a 50mm aero wheel with a bunt rigger wheel? I don't really do a lot of lightweight stuff, but you need to, I don't know what your weight is. If you're a big guy, the lightweight stuff doesn't hold up very well under big riders. So, I mean, it depends on what you're building the thing for, what kind of riding. If you're doing 50mm aero wheels, are you doing time trials or you're doing the road? Because 50mm to ride every day on the road, I don't know, that's going to be tough in crosswinds, but they're all pretty good depending on what you're going to use them for. So that's Michael Fernandez, welcome from the land down under. La Rosa de Lupe. Let's see here. John Demps. My wife and I have been into cycling for approximately 6 months. Okay. Let's see here. Some of her friends as well. What is a decent cadence for ladies at that experience level? Cadence is cadence for guys or ladies. I mean, you have to find out Keep the cadence 70 or higher for all riders in most terrain until you find what your body likes. Because must be below 70, your legs tighten up. Yeah, Michael, the chat started at 1,730 hours. And I think this might be the time that I will be doing them. There's some moron on here. It says, I know you see me. I've sent his name to YouTube. Make sure he gets blocked permanently. He'll have to set up a whole new account if he knows how to type. Too many stupid people wasting time on the internet. They're not cyclists. What are you doing here? You know, you don't belong here. Don't you have a life? So I just sent his name over. They should be able to close that account. Let's see here. Too many idiots. Don't call them trolls. They're morons. I mean, to get up and go places you're not wanted or you don't belong is a waste of a life. You've been blocked, moron. Done with you. Let's see, Michael. Okay, as I checked on the usual time. Yeah, I basically schedule this stuff because my time, the time availability will change. So you need to check when you go into your feed on YouTube, it'll be there once I schedule it. So it's like, you know, it's just better. Just ignore the morons. I'll make sure they'll get blocked. I've logged all the name on those accounts. So yeah, I think it's better to schedule them a little later sometimes because I had a lot going on today and I didn't want to rush the early one. So it was kind of cool. So that's good. Yeah. So we got, yeah, we had a good turnout today. What we're doing this weekend is we're going to get back to our regular long ride. I like to ride long on Saturday, you know, so it's kind of be kind of good to see. I was able to find a jersey. It was cheap, $87 on Rafa today. And so I was like, man. And it was one of their Aero jersey in green. I guess the color was not popular or something. And I was like, man, it was almost unbelievable. Then when I put it in my basket, that said, last one available online. So I pulled the trigger on it. It's the Aero jersey that comes all the way down here. And it's got those dimples in it. And it was like a dark green one. I was like, man, I grabbed it. Because all the other ones have sold out. It's in their archive sale or something. I always go there from time to time to look for deals. Because you can get them. They usually sell them for like $200. It was like $80-something. I was like, I jumped all over it. Robert, MD does not have a website. They're on Amazon. That's where they have their store. I have not seen anything new from them, and so it's kind of like I'm not sure what they're, you know. But I think that's, you can just type MD compression or, yeah. Hey, Edgar, thanks, man. Edgar says, super chat. Hey, Elder, I was just wondering whether you had heard anything about the performance of disc brakes in the rain compared to rim brakes. Yeah, the discs in the rain, assuming your discs didn't get wet, which most likely they don't because they're not hitting the road surface, the disc will perform better compared to a rim brake because the rim gets not only water, but you get the silt, the sand. That's why you hear that grinding noise even on aluminum rims. And I'm not even going to mention carbon rims, because that's really what makes discs necessary. If you're going to do carbon rims and you're concerned about braking, then you might as well go with discs, because their braking has never been their strength from the time that technology came out for rims. So yes, the disc will brake better because they're going to be drier longer, because they're not touching the road. Your rim touches the road, so it picks up water. That's the thing. So yes, it definitely will perform better. But it's not that big a deal. I mean, how often are you braking that hard on a bicycle? I've been riding a bike for like more than 30 years, and I don't brake that hard on a bicycle. So I don't think it's a big deal. Unless you got carbon rims, I wouldn't worry too much about it. Stopping the bicycle is not a problem. You're welcome, Robert. Edgar, I really appreciate your super chat, man. People like you and Robert and the rest of the super legends on here make this worth our while. So it really means a lot. I did a video about rim brakes. Let me see if I can find the link, as far as how I see it. But your question is very specific about the performance in the rain compared to rim brakes. It will definitely outperform rim brakes. The rim brakes get dirty. So what we do when we ride in the rain is we initially brake before we need to kind of clear the rim, and then it's okay, especially with aluminum rims. So yes. You don't get all that crud on your discs. Cal Cycling, what do you think of the new SRAM AXS? I don't even know what that is. I have no interest in SRAM. SRAM's trying to reinvent shifting, so I don't pay them a whole lot of mind. And then Cal wants to know, is 12 speed necessary? None of them are necessary. I only use 3 or 4 cogs on my 11 speed. So no, I wouldn't be getting any 12 speed. It's not necessary. Another cog that I'm not going to use. You're just carrying one more gear. Nope. So unless you're buying a new bike and you want to change everything you do, because you go to 12 speed, you're changing everything you have. You can't share your wheels. Unless you have camping, then you just need cassettes. But no, it's not necessary. There are people still riding 8 or 9 speed doing fine. None of them are. They're just nice to have. It's not necessary to pay $14,000 for a bicycle either, but people do. That's not necessary. So, none of it is. It's just it's nice that we have that choice. So no. I'm glad you found the channel, Edgar. It's great to have you here. Oh, your sister doesn't even ride, but you recommended it to her. Maybe you can get her out to ride, man. I'm telling you, this will get her to work on her health, because this, Western economy, we sit around too much. So it's good for us to work on our health. So Fennel Joseph said, enjoyed the chat in the videos, new writer, learning a lot. Yeah, get caught up. Go to the channel page. Look at the channel page where I've got the playlists, and that will help you. That will help you know, because I've got them in phases of cycling, so you can catch up. Everything's laid out there. Alexander said, I still do okay with my 8-speed Paramount. Something I learned, Chris Matt says, something I learned about riding bikes is the most important part of the sport is who is riding the bike. Doesn't matter if you ride steel frame or carbon frame. Yeah, we ride with guys that are riding $15,000, $16,000 bikes. People come on the channel and they'll watch a group ride and say, Is Cervelo like a team bike, or it's just common in Texas? Everybody's got a Cervelo. Those bikes are not cheap, and they've got zip wheels and all of that. And yeah, they're still having problems. You see them getting dropped left and right. It doesn't mean anything. You've got to get yourself in good condition. It doesn't mean that the zip wheel's bad. What it means is the zip wheel expects you to be able to hit a certain speed before you can get its benefit, meaning you can buy the best aerodynamic bike. If you never get to, say, 32 kilometers an hour and hold that, there's no point. There's no aerodynamic. We see guys doing 15 miles an hour aero bars. What's the point of that? You got to go fast enough for the aero to kick in. So if you don't go fast enough for the aero to kick in, there's no aerodynamic benefit there. So just keep that in mind. So you need to get yourself in shape regardless of what you buy, you know. And so what I try to say is get a bike that you can afford, so that will allow you to get out there and ride, instead of getting something that's so expensive where you got to go work to pay for it. You can't ride. And what's the point of that? So you just keep that in mind. Don't get caught up on equipment. Equipment is not going to do anything for you. You have to ride the bike and make sure the bike fits you. That's more important. So just make sure that if you're in the market, I see a lot of people talking about buying bikes. Make sure you know your size. That's the first thing. And then decide whether you want to buy a bike off the shelf or whether you want something built for you. You know, of course, you have more choices if you're having something built. As far as, because some of the bikes on the shelf, their top tube length may be already preset by the manufacturer. Whereas if you have something built for you based on your sizing, they can get the top tube long enough for you to where you don't need a very long stem or a very short stem on a big frame. So there's a lot of flexibility. But nowadays, the prices are so close. You know, custom bikes cost reasonably less than some of the bikes that are on the shelf. So just keep that in mind. They're not out of your reach. And just make sure that you know your size. That's the key, because you can't change the frame. Once you buy it, you're kind of stuck with it. You know, so that's important. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up there. Okay, guys? You all take care. Good show. We'll talk to you next time. Be safe out on the roads.